Good Wednesday evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. A pretty interesting day weather-wise. Some of us still seeing some rain this evening. Most of us, pretty much all of us, seeing a whole lot of smoke, and it definitely seems like this is the most smoke or the thickest smoke that we have seen so far this summer from, of course, again, those wildfires up in Canada. So, Joe, when will that smoke start to head out of our way?
Yeah, so we're going to turn our wind out of the northeast, which will kind of push this, south out of our area. It looks like starting late tonight through tomorrow. So I do think that'll improve somewhat. We have rain too in some areas. If you're in, watching in Lake City, for instance, it's raining. Cadillac, Clare, Ludington, all seeing some rain. But after that ends, which will be later this evening, we're probably going to go a week or more without any more rain.
Wow.
So it's going to be a bit of a dry stretch coming up. It's been interesting too. You know this, Maya. We haven't had, a long dry stretch. We had a day or two, but it's been kind of a wet summer so far.
Yeah.
But we'll get a bit of a dry stretch coming up here. Along with that, some nice weather. We'll take a look at that and more interest on that smoke too coming up a little later.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. Let's start tonight with continuing coverage. 2 days after his bond was set, the man charged in the Walmart stabbing incident was back in a Grand Traverse County courtroom today. Bradford Gilley appeared in court via Zoom this afternoon. On Monday, the magistrate set his bond at $100,000 cash surety, but after that hearing, we reported this yesterday, Gilley made a finger gun hand gesture on camera. Then, prosecutor Noel Muggenberg requested his bond be raised or revoked. Well, today, in front of a different judge, his bond was indeed increased to $1 million. The judge also ordered that if Gilley is released on bond, he must be on tether and have no contact order for the victims and their families.
I think the victims need to be assured that he's not going to get out of jail. And the public needs to be assured, too, that he's not going to be in the community and putting them in fear of another such event that happened last Saturday at Walmart.
And during today's hearing, Gilley's video feed from the jail was interrupted. We were told that Gilley damaged the camera that was sending the video feed to the courtroom. Corrections officers intervened, and the court ordered for a competency evaluation for Gilley. Well, one local sports store owner is describing the traffic through his doors as it just keeps pouring in following the Walmart stabbing incident. Customers are coming in and asking how to get their concealed pistol license. As our Allie Baxter reports, classes that used to take weeks to fill up are filling up in a matter of hours.
I would say probably a surge of 25 people or more just in the last 72 hours since the incident occurred.
Gary Jerkovich says he didn't plan on opening his store Sunday. His business, TCH Gear, is in the process of expanding, and only staff were expected to be there Sunday to help move inventory around.
And as soon as the buzzer rang and the door opened, the traffic just started pouring in. And we obviously didn't want to turn those people away. Come to find out as we're talking to them, it has to all do with the incident that occurred at Walmart.
Gary says it was a 50-50 mix of customers who already have a concealed pistol license wanting to buy a firearm, and people who said they've been on the fence about taking a CPL class.
I think people just want to be safe, right? We all want to live in this world and we all want to be safe over here. And I think that incident opened up that can happen here in Traverse City.
The sheriff's office credited a group of citizens for helping stop the suspect that day before law enforcement arrived, including a citizen later identified as Derek Perry, who confronted the suspect with a pistol.
I mean, he showed exactly what a good guy with a gun can do to stop an attack.
Gary says that's exactly what his instructor teaches in his CPL classes, not just how to safely use a pistol while following the law, but running through different self-defense scenarios that don't all involve firing the pistol.
Somebody reaching for a firearm or pulling out a knife, and during those situations, we're going to talk about your reactionary gap, how close do you want to be from that person when you're going to potentially engage with them, and just try to, take some other alternatives that are non-lethal so that you never actually have to find yourself engaged in that situation.
In Grand Traverse County, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And let's take a look at the updated status of the patients hospitalized at Munson Medical Center in the attack's aftermath. As of this morning, one patient now listed in fair condition, 5 upgraded to good condition, 2 others were treated and transferred, and at this hour, 3 patients have now been released. Well, switching gears now, the ice has melted, but the recovery and rebuilding is still well underway after March's devastating ice storm. A week ago, word that President Trump approved at least $50 million in federal disaster funds. And today, an update from the Michigan State Police on the process and claiming those funds and why what happens now could dramatically increase those dollars. Our Mark Schlett has the full story.
Disaster had a widespread impact. We are committed to ensuring that communities recover and that they have what they need to recover along the way.
The ice is gone. Power poles have been replaced and restrung, but what many northern Michigan communities need right now to help with the continued recovery is cash.
President Trump approved Governor Whitmer's request for a major disaster declaration.
Word came last week with the disaster declaration that local entities in ice storm impacted counties would be eligible for FEMA funding.
Eligible applicants include local governments, county agencies, and certain nonprofits such as utility co-ops, schools, and other critical service providers.
What's not included? Help for individuals.
We were notified this past Monday, July 28th, that the individual assistance piece of this request was denied.
In the meantime, the money headed here will go cover things like costs associated with debris removal, emergency repairs to utility services, every category approved except for category F.
There were preliminary damage assessments that were done prior to this major presidential disaster declaration being declared. The total tally that we had in this joint PDA with FEMA and the state of Michigan was $137 million. This estimate supported the governor's request for this federal assistance, but it is not the final funding amount.
$50 million approved by the Trump White House. But that's not a cap.
The actual amount of federal support will depend upon how many eligible entities apply and the projects that FEMA ultimately approves.
The more applicants approved means the more money that could be headed our way. With an August 21st deadline, the clock is ticking. And for applicants to get the funds, they'll have to cover part of the recovery price tag themselves.
There is a 25% cost share. So that cost share is passed on to whoever the applicant is. So if it's the DNR has a 25% cost share. If it's a county road commission, then that county is going to have that. Same with any public utility companies or any other of those nonprofits. So that's something else to keep in mind when we're talking about these large amounts of money. And then where's that cost share going to come from?
That was Mark Schlett reporting. And again, the clock is ticking for local governments and nonprofits to apply for the FEMA funds with an August 21st deadline. And the more applications made and more projects approved would mean potentially more federal money heading our way. We have more information about the federal funds and how to apply over on our website, UpNorthLive.com. Our next story takes us to Cadillac, where a new four-legged officer is joining the force in northern Michigan. The Michigan State Police Cadillac Post is welcoming a K-9 team that is ready to serve. And joining the team is this fellow right here, Deke. Partnered with Trooper Brendan Guillout, the duo is already hitting the ground running. Deke is training in narcotics detection, tracking suspects, and locating missing persons. Trooper Guillout says that they regularly train with real-world scenarios to keep Deke's skills fresh. Speaking of Trooper Guillout, he is joining us live now on Unscripted. And Trooper, my first question is a very important one. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. I ran it over in my head a few times. I'm like, I think it's Guillout. I just got to go with it. All right. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that and for joining us here on Unscripted tonight. So give us a little information about why K-9 teams are so valuable for law enforcement.
So they're valuable for law enforcement because of the dog's superior sense of smell, which assists us with locating people and narcotics, and then other dogs trained in explosives and accelerants.
So where do these dogs come from? How do you find a dog that you think would be good for this role and easy to train?
A majority of our dogs are purchased from a kennel in Indiana. They're put through a testing process by our kennel staff. But before Indiana, a majority of them come from Europe.
Interesting. So then what exactly is the training process look like? How long does it take? Are you the one who's doing that training like every day? What is that like?
So our training process, our basic school is 14 weeks long, and we receive the dog the first day and are with them through those 14 weeks. And we start pretty simple, just working on bonding with the dog and then getting them to sit and down, and then progressing into tracking and narcotics, area searches and building searches and so on.
And do you ever have a dog that you're training and you quickly realize like, oh, maybe this dog doesn't exactly have what it takes to be a part of this canine team?
There has been dogs in previous schools that have been returned because they just stop working, but a majority of the testing that is done before we receive them from basic school kind of weeds out the ones that aren't going to be able to do the job.
Sure. And we saw some video right before we brought you on of Deke, but he's one of multiple dogs that are joining the team in Cadillac. Is that correct?
Yes, we had 7 dogs graduate in our basic school. 4 of them were for new handlers and 3 were for previous handlers that had had dogs before.
And so did you choose to be a handler, or did they assign you that role? How does that work?
I chose to be. There's a pretty in-depth application process that goes into it before you're selected for the canine unit.
Have you trained other canines before?
I have not. This is my first.
Nice. And so far, how's it going?
It's great. I love it every day.
Yeah. So here's an interesting question that I'm sure some people out in the community are maybe wondering when they do see a canine unit. Are canine units always on patrol, or are they just put like on more on-call situations?
Nope. So our canines are, our canine handlers respond to calls for service and make traffic stops just like regular troopers. And then when we need to go to canine calls, we do when we're on duty. The only main difference is that we're able to be recalled to service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Gotcha. And then another question that I'm sure a lot of people, anytime they see a canine out on the job, their first thought usually is like, oh my gosh, cute, a dog, I want to go pet it. But of course, there's usually some sort of sign on them that says like, do not pet, I'm working. Why is it important that when a canine is on the job that people don't approach them and try to pet them?
Our dogs are trained to apprehend people and bite them. That doesn't always, it might not occur, but it'd be best just to check with the handler to make sure that we don't want people getting injured.
Right. Always better to be safe than sorry. Is there anything else that you want to share with us about what it's like to train canines or work with canines?
Nope, I don't really have anything else.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and providing your very unique perspective on a very unique sector of law enforcement. We really appreciate your time. And before we take a break, we do have one more story to share with you. This one out of Lansing now. So a celebration was underway today at Lansing's Capital Regional International Airport. Take a look. This is the very first electric plane charger in the state of Michigan. Michigan previously made a landmark investment to support the development and deployment of advanced air mobility, or AAM, technology and infrastructure. Vermont-based aerospace firm Beta Technologies, a recipient of that funding, on hand in the Capitol to showcase its electric aircraft and celebrate the milestone.
The longest flight that this aircraft and our sister, not this aircraft, but a sister ship has done is 336 nautical miles, so about 385 statute miles. And we had reserve in the tank because we fly within the national airspace. The important thing there is we can fly longer than the average feeder fleet mission that you'd be talking about for this class of aircraft. So well within commercial viability. And the beauty of battery electric is that batteries get better and better every year. So this aircraft will simply just get better and more performant every year.
And this aircraft that you see right now can take up to 5 passengers and a pilot, but Newton predicting more than 20 times that capacity in the next 50 years. So this story brings up a pretty interesting question. It is our question of the day. Would you fly in an electric plane? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. You can also head over to our Facebook page to leave a comment. As always, I'll take a look at those results and comments at the end of the show. I'll let you know that right now a lot of people are saying, nope, they're not interested in flying in an electric plane. I'm curious to read some of your comments toward the end of the show, but we are going to take a quick pause right now. Coming up next, you'll have much more on your forecast for the rest of the work week, so don't go anywhere just yet.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, it was a bit of a wet and smoky day for most of us across northern Michigan. But Joe mentioned something interesting at the top of the show, that we might not see rain for quite some time now. Joe, when is our next chance for a shower?
Maybe late next week.
Maybe. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's a dry stretch coming up here. High pressure is going to build down, and that'll lead to some nice weather. We've had a lot of rain. I mean, some spots have picked up in a day, 3 inches or so at times over the last month, with passing showers and storms. So it'll be a bit of a dry stretch coming up here. Harbor Day is taking place in Elk Rapids. Look at that forecast. That's perfect. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, 77. That's in Antrim County. Friday, rinse and repeat, 77, mostly sunny. And then Saturday, right around 80 degrees. You can't really top that. Mostly sunny weather. Of course, we've had some rain and smoke. Here's a look at the smoke, and you can just see it. Hazy, smoky skies. This is in Petoskey right now. Our Holiday Inn Express and Suites camera. Certainly not a lot of blue in this camera shot. And because of that, we do have air quality alerts for the entire state, including our entire viewing area, in effect until, I believe in the UP until midnight, and then in lower Michigan until tomorrow morning. And then that smoke will start to gradually depart, and we should again see better air quality coming up here, hopefully. There's a look at the smoke right now, the current situation. See, as we turn our wind out of the northeast, it'll push this down state over into Wisconsin, kind of out of our area. I think still a little bit of haze tomorrow, but not as thick as it was today. And there we are on Friday. So the trend here, at least what we're hoping, is for improving air quality. There is some rain on the north edge. If you look way down in Missouri, south of Chicago, an area of low pressure, kind of riding along that front. That's all moving away from us. But we have had rain on the north fringe of that front. Here's a look at that on radar tonight from Chicago, northern Indiana, right up into parts of central, even a little bit into northern Michigan tonight. Some rain, and there it is. Rain, the line of rain right now from about Alpena to near Mayo to south of Grayling, and then along and south of US 10. So Reed City, Ludington, south of there, rain continuing right now. In fact, this is where some of the heavier rain is located. Kind of see this here, Big Rapids, Mount Pleasant, the Clare area, but that should all come to an end by midnight. And as we look at Stormcast, there's right now, and then tomorrow, a beautiful day. There's Thursday. We'll stop this at 10:30 tomorrow morning, a northeast wind. That's our last day of July coming up tomorrow. And then we head into August with the same thing. Sunshine, beautiful day, Friday evening, Saturday, gorgeous sunshine. And then if you look at the weekend, take a look at this forecast. Low and mid 80s both Saturday and Sunday. Lots of sunshine, maybe a nice beach weekend, golf game, whatever you have planned. Just not being at work, maybe. And there's the extended forecast. There's really not much to talk about here. Each day is dry. We have no rain in the extended forecast at all. And temperatures pretty close to average, 70s and 80s.
Kind of want to take a picture of that, just so like when it comes to December, January, February, you can look back and be like, oh, the forecast of our dreams.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Joe, thanks so much. We're going to take another quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with Sports Director Harrison Beebe in just a couple of minutes. It is time to talk some sports with the one and only Harrison Beebe, who's joining us live from our content center. Harrison, what's going on today?
Maya, we are talking about a sport I rarely touch on, but for good reason, we're touching on it today, and that is rugby. Max Goethals graduated from Kingsley High School, and he helped lead the Kingsley doesn't offer rugby, but he was a part of the club team, the Traverse City Alliance, that won a state championship last year, so pretty cool there. Yeah. And he goes to college, attends Davenport, pretty cool opportunity to play rugby at the collegiate level, but he was recently invited to take part in the U19 North American Championships involving 5 other nations. It was down in Mexico, and what do you know? Team USA came out on top, and we talked with Max this week about that opportunity and winning gold. Probably the first time you've played internationally for rugby, huh?
Yeah, it was actually only my second time out of the country. The first time being Canada, which is a drive away.
So what was that like to know that you were playing in such a prestigious event?
I was texting my family all week. I was there for 10 days, and they had a huge watch party at the restaurant I work at. They put it on the TVs, but I mean, it was just exciting. Like, I've never been part of anything that big, I guess. Had no idea that this was in the cards for me, like maybe a year ago.
What was it like to be amongst that field and know it's the best of the best for the sport at your age group?
Yeah, it was cool because, I mean, you can trust a guy next to you to do his job, and you just never had to worry about it because we only had 5 practices together before we actually started playing. And the whole time, I mean, I had no worries from the start.
Just hammers home, Maya, sports are year-round. You may think your season is just in the spring, but here in the summer, we're hearing great opportunities where area athletes getting to play in all-star games and international competitions. So it's pretty cool to see that, you know, even though July is kind of in a way the slowest sports month, sports really do never stop.
Mm-hmm. Love to see that huge accomplishment, too, for the U.S. team. And, yeah, we just don't really talk about rugby enough. So maybe we should try to make an effort to talk about it more now that all this is happening.
Yeah, do you know how the rules work?
No idea. That's why I want to know more about it. That's like one of the sports that I really don't know how it works. But
you and me both. So
we'll learn together, Harrison. All right, thank you so much for that story. And we're going to take another quick break. But coming up on the other side of the break, we will check in with the question of the day, live results, and read a few of your comments. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
A pretty interesting question of the day today. Would you fly in an electric plane? 78% of voters are saying no, thank you. 22% say yes, they would try it. Over on Facebook, Robin says yes, Maxwell, yes, and hopefully electric planes will be quieter. Tom says not a chance. Ron says you must be kidding. Martha, no way. Pretty split on these comments, but again, overwhelmingly people are saying no, not today anyway. Don't have any plans to fly on an electric plane. Well, that'll do it for Unscripted tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.